going on upstream, going on downstream, right in front of you. It's really kind of a very fun place to watch wildlife and learn about all of their individual characteristics and their behaviors that allow them to successfully compete with one another and survive in a pretty harsh world. So I don't think he was able to catch any fish. Let's watch this just for another moment. We'll see if he is approaching 410 here. Let's watch and see what happens. So it doesn't look like he's maybe he is. I don't know if you can hear that roaring. But he's trying to intimidate 410. 410 is at a little bit of a disadvantage because she can't bite to defend herself. She'd lose the fish. And again, he just kind of forced his way in there, roaring at her, a directed approach. And he's a hungry bear. You can see how fast he's eating that, whatever was left of that fish. So 410 catches another fish this evening. Then this bear, Lefty, he might try to steal that fish again. Bears are quick learners. If they learn that one fishing strategy is successful, they're going to try it again. And before we watch that steal, that pirating that went on, which is a legitimate fishing strategy for bears, we were talking about number 32 Chunk, the bear in the foreground of your view right now. Again, he was a bear that was first identified about 10 years ago or so, 9 years ago. And he couldn't compete with these really big males up at Brooks Falls, but he can now. So his story is one of growth and maturity. I'm curious to see just how dominant he gets in the future. He could become a very dominant bear. He could just, become one of those mid-ranking adult males that doesn't really reach the pinnacle of the hierarchy. The one behind him, though, kind of shows a story of, aging. When I first started working here several years ago, the one in the background, number 480 Otis, he has a floppy left ear, scar on his forehead, fairly blonde in color. That bear was, a fairly dominant bear. He had his choice of fishing spots in the far pool or in the jacuzzi. But now he is more likely to be displaced from the jacuzzi by some of those really big bears. He's also missing a couple of canine teeth. His molars appear to be worn down, and that's a fairly typical ailment of a lot of older bears. And that might be the thing that really leads to their demise is, kind of a lack of teeth in a sense. If we get a chance to watch him eat a salmon, we'll try to tune into that because he definitely has a harder time biting through the fish anymore, stripping the skin off of the fish like a lot of other bears can do with great dexterity because he's lacking a lot of teeth. So with both of these bears, we see, stories of growth. We see stories of aging too, but kind of a contrast in between the two. A up-and-coming adult male and then an aging bear that's maybe slipping down the hierarchy as the years pass. So we'll watch 410, her yearling cub, 402, and her yearling cub on the lip of the waterfall. Her second cub is sitting on the bank just out of the view of the cam. Down below her is number 856. the most dominant bear on the river. Before we started the broadcast, I saw him catch and eat 6 fish. We can kind of keep tabs on that, just how many fish will he catch in the hour. We have some other bears on the far side that I haven't introduced yet. We haven't really been seeing this bear interact with a lot of others. He kind of hangs to the far wall. This is number 755. Nicknamed him Scaredy Bear. Not because he's necessarily scared of other bears right now, but he used to be. He used to run from other bears when he was a younger bear, and that's, again, kind of a common behavior, but he didn't seem to really have the tolerance level for the close proximity of larger bears that some of the younger bears of his same age had. He also ran at the sight of people, and even today he doesn't approach the wildlife viewing platform that I'm standing on when large groups of people are present. And right now there's probably 30 people on the wildlife viewing platform with me, so I would be shocked if he came to the side of the river. Many bears get used to the presence of people. They become habituated to our presence, but some of them just don't. And that's why the wildlife viewing platform that I'm standing on is closed from June 15th to August 15th, from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And that allows these bears that are not habituated to the presence of people the opportunity to fish at Brooks River without our disturbance. Anytime that you're going to a wildlife viewing area, you really want to think carefully about what you're going to do there, and if you can view bears or the other wildlife in an ethical manner that doesn't alter their behavior. So we're, conceding the wildlife viewing platform in the evening to give these bears just a little bit of extra space. And that's part of the, of course, the mission of national parks is to protect, wildlife and the ecology of the area. Not just, what we find easy to see or fun to do, but we also want to, sacrifice a little bit of our experience so we can, give the animals the space and the resources they need to survive. And 755, Scaredy Bear here is pretty good at fishing that far pool. And he's, again, kind of in his mid-teens, maybe at the peak of his size and strength. So let's see where 856 is headed right now. Moving to the far side of the river. These real big dominant males, when they move through, bears just get out of their way typically. You can see number 83, that one with the rump wound, moving out of the way. We can see Lefty here with his short left ear, warily watching 856. So that's, typical of the responses of other bears to these real big adult males, just avoidance. That's most of the interactions that I see that I note up here, just avoidance interactions. 747, just reminding that number 32 on top of the waterfall there is not quite big enough to maintain that fishing spot near the rocks. It looks like 747 wanted it. In that situation, that interaction could reverse itself in a few years. As number 32 gets bigger, maybe he'll get strong enough to challenge number 747. And if you're just tuning into the broadcast on explore.org or on explore.org's Facebook page, my name is Mike Fitz, and I'm a park ranger here at Katmai National Park and Preserve. And I'm coming to you live from Brooks Falls, world famous Brooks Falls, and I'm narrating the bear and salmon activity that we see this evening. There's been a lot of stuff going on. I'm not monitoring the comments on Facebook or Explore, but I'll do my best to try to answer a lot of the common questions that people might have about the activity that we're seeing here. It's been a really great night. The weather's fantastic. The lighting is very good. So I'll be here with you until at least 8 p.m. Alaska time. I'll probably stick around a little bit longer because it seems like there's going to be a lot to look at and talk about.